Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Yoders Farm. I'm Eldon, and Lowell's here with me today for another podcast. Morning, Lowell.
Hey Eldon, what's up?
Not a whole lot. How's your week been going?
It's been terrible, but who cares?
Yeah, it's Tuesday, November the 24th. You figured it up, we're just over a month or so.
Apparently this is an intermittent conversation.
Yeah, well, that's about as good as we can do around here sometimes.
That's fine.
Yeah, so what have you been up to the last month or so here on the farm?
Well, we kind of went through fall, and now we're sort of trending towards winter, early winter, I guess you'd say, somewhere in that transition.
Although, judging by the weather a week or so ago,
you'd
never known that.
You would think it's, September or
something,
April or spring or something. So, it's been a fairly pleasant fall with some pretty major deluges of rain in between.
And it is getting chillier again, apparently. It's 38 outside right now.
Yeah, frosty. We've had killing frost and a number of pretty heavy frosts, and so that's all very typical. Nature's way of kind of signaling for things to shut down and store up and get ready for another growing season next spring, I guess.
Yeah, that's the way it usually works. Of course, it's 2020. I guess anything could happen. Let's see. So the fall season wrapped up the 7th of November.
Yep.
Anything we need to talk about there?
I think you should talk about your overall impressions of the fall season.
Oh, I don't know. It's not that exciting.
You survived, which was your main
we all survived.
Concern. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a busy season, like normal.
Mm-hmm.
We were grateful that things kind of ended when they did. There's been a kind of a spike in COVID cases again. We were having some folks close to our situation, I guess, that were getting sick there towards the end. So
staff.
Yeah, well, sort of.
Staff or staff family, I guess.
Yeah.
Causes complications.
Yeah, we were just glad that things kind of wound up when they did.
And then some business restrictions kind of coming in pretty near the end or soon after we quit. So for our application, we kind of fitted in about the perfect little window again, right?
Yeah. Like I said, we felt very fortunate, or feel very fortunate that all worked out like it did.
Yeah. So it was a very busy season. Overall, it went well. I think we mentioned last time. Every time I say we mentioned last time, by the way. So
it's because you have a better memory than
I got that out of the way this time. But our staff we had very good staff this year, very helpful, a lot of good experienced people. So that made the busyness, I guess, somewhat manageable because we could focus a little bit more on big picture things and panic about those kind of things. And couldn't have done it without our good staff. So thanks to all of them.
It makes a huge difference.
The corn maze was very well received. We likely will do very similar things to what we did this year, next year, as far as variety of corn planted, planting date. I think we liked that pretty good. It stayed green right up until the very end.
Although I do wonder if all that rain in September and August and even October helped some with that.
Of course, it did. But some of that was a variety too. Very long day.
Yeah, I know.
Corn. So, I mean, really it got nipped a little bit by frost about a week before we closed. And you could kind of see it on the outside edges, especially towards the north and the west, because it seemed like the wind was coming from that way. The other side seemed a little more protected.
Yeah.
We typically will get some scattered frost on our maize before we close. We have actually had a pretty hard killing frost too before, but yeah, worked out fine. And then we chopped it. We closed on a Saturday evening, and we chopped it Monday
afternoon,
evening, and Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround
into the silo for silage.
Yeah, and our cows will be very happy to eat it.
Our cows are very happy eating it. Yeah, it's really good silage. It has a lot of good grain in it, and very, very good feed. So it kind of goes, you put in the silo, and it goes through a bit of a fermentation process, which helps it preserve it, basically. So it lasts as long as you keep the top part, which is exposed to the air, as long as you keep feeding it regularly, like every day.
Yeah.
It keeps it from spoiling, and then, the whole silo full of silage will last a year,
hopefully till next.
I don't know what
fall,
how
maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, that's when we plan to feed it up, but I don't know how long silage would last.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
In quite a while.
In a vacuum.
It's a little like canning or preserving.
Yeah.
Food for human consumption.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
Cool.
The corn yielded goodly. Well, the tonnage, we've never really figured out exactly how many acres of the trails take out, but it yielded, like if you would have a field without the trails cut out, that would have yielded what this yielded, then we would have been very happy. So we were very, very happy with the trails taken out, and it's still yielding as the amount of tons per acre. So, fall season success. Try to replicate the good and learn from the bad.
Yeah,
for next year.
There wasn't a lot of bad out.
No, there's always things you think about. Oh, maybe we should.
But yeah, there's
tweak
some things we could make a little more efficient, or I don't know. We should probably talk about all that sometime.
We should probably do that while it's still somewhat fresh in our minds, but probably should plant more pumpkins next year. We're already talking about that. Maybe place a different field or something to plant them in. We'll work on that this winter, and y'all don't stress about it.
Yeah, I won't stress about it too much either till next fall. So, well, I might. Who knows?
So that harvest is taking place. Soybean harvest is done. The beans did very well this year. Yielded very well. A lot of that was due to the good rains we had and good growing conditions overall. And I guess we should talk about strawberries and greenhouse yet before we wrap it up.
Sounds good. Deer eating strawberries like crazy.
Yeah, it's not as bad as last fall.
Okay.
Some of it's because the field is moved a little bit. It's not down as close to the woods because we're in our upper rotation.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
So I think that's helped a little bit, but yeah, they have gotten onto some of the rows, especially the outside row or two, and we started covering some yesterday. That was for two purposes. One, it's actually starting to get cool, and some of the particular varieties like the Albions, the Ruby Junes, maybe the Sweet Charlies, and let's see, I have a couple others, Merced and Cabrillo down there, I think, just a couple trials. They like a little bit of a longer fall growing period, so I'm hoping to enhance the fall growth a little bit and boost them. So we covered yesterday, and we'll cover a few more today. We did cover a few of the very latest planted Chandlers, which are a little on the small side. So that keeps the deer out, and it also, these days, like today, upper 50s, low 60s, a cover really helps you in that condition situation, because otherwise you wouldn't really get a growing degree day much today because we were at freezing last night.
That's where the
growing degree day is the average of the low temperature and the high temperature, and it's however many above 50 that average is, and at least in strawberries, that's how you figure it. So if you can keep that nighttime temperature up, bump the daytime temperature by creating a little greenhouse in there, that'll help add a few more growing degree days yet in these, kind of moderate temperatures before we get colder. So most of the, I think last time we were talking about we were very late planting and we were going to just see how the weather was. And some of October was a little cool. We had some, especially early, I think we had some cool shots.
Yeah,
very fall-like temperatures. Well, then some of the latter part of October actually warmed up some. Yeah. And then what really helped for strawberries was some of the 1st of November was actually
pretty
very
warm
warm.
Yeah.
70s and such. In fact, we had 70s just, the last few days. So if you were going to plant strawberries late, then the weather we had this fall was actually almost ideal for that. You had good growth on them. So
we did plant the strawberries late.
Yeah, exactly. So it was God's gift to late planted strawberries, I guess.
Yeah.
So overall, for as late as we planted, which was outside of our control because of other factors, but for as late as everything was, I feel pretty good about where we are right now with how the strawberries look. A little bit more warm weather wouldn't hurt. Actually, a mild winter probably wouldn't hurt either. But the Albions actually bloomed excessively. Excessively? I don't know if they bloomed excessively, but probably abnormally.
Okay.
They bloomed a lot, picked a few red berries, and so forth. So the warmer temperatures definitely kind of triggered some of that. I actually saw a few blooms yesterday on the Sweet Charlies, which is not untypical, but yeah, anyway. So we will see. If it's a pretty mild winter, I wouldn't be surprised we would see a few blooms through the winter periodically. So we'll have to see how it goes. I may pull some of those covers off in 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Push them along a little bit. It's also good then for the strawberries to get kind of acclimated to cooler temperatures, get some frost on them, get hardened off for winter. They do better.
Very good. Greenhouse was the other thing you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we have tomatoes in.
Actually, today is our first day being open.
Yeah, at the little farm store,
45
farm stand. Yeah, we already had one customer in. He was looking for tomatoes. Desperate for tomatoes. Yeah. We have 2 greenhouses with tomatoes currently growing in them, and then the crop seeded for the other greenhouse. So basically, we have 3 greenhouses worth of tomatoes. On the east side, in our small house, we have. We're actually picking a few, which, that's what we'll be selling at the farm stand while supplies last. It's going to be a little slow going here for the next while. We have BHN 589s in that house. It's a determinate tomato. We like it especially for fall production, when you kind of have a finite window that you want to have tomatoes in. And then this year is different. We were not able to get our trust tomatoes, which we've grown for, goodness, a long time.
Couple billion years.
Yeah, a couple billion. And that's because, they're getting phased out and so forth. So we've known for a while that they were getting phased out, and finally they did get phased out.
Yeah.
So we took some we took some suckers from our previous truss tomato plants, planted several rows worth of just suckers, and they've actually done fairly well. We've not typically propagated that way, but we did this year. Just take a nice sucker, trim it up, put a little bit of root enhancing powder on it. Can't remember what it's called.
A little bit of fairy dust.
Yeah, something that's used in flowers, flower cuttings.
It's like a growth hormone or something.
I don't think you'd actually have to do that, but
the
thought was that would help a little bit. Anyway, pop it in a grow bag and water it like crazy.
Excessively,
and they wilt a little bit at the beginning, and then they take off and actually grow. So we'll see how they do, but so far they actually look pretty fair, and it allows us to at least have a few of those trusts that we like. The other variety, which is supposed to be the trust replacement Torero, we have a greenhouse almost full of them, and it's definitely it's just a little different tomato, and I don't know, we're learning about it. I wish in hindsight we had grown some of these for the last 3-4 years, worked some of the kinks out of it.
Makes sense.
It just seems like whenever you switch varieties, especially in a greenhouse or something, it's just they like a little different fertility, and
you have to ease your customers over to the new flavor profiles.
Yeah, we haven't actually tasted one. I'm sure they taste very good.
Yeah.
And but people are so funny about tomatoes. Some people like a firm tomato. Some people like it
squishy,
juicy, not squishy, but and
juicy's a better
everything.
word.
I mean, there's BHN 589s. You know, some people love them, and they'll take them over truss. You know, we've grown them another year or two. A previous year or two, and so some people just love them as long as we have them, and then they'll switch to truss once we don't. Some people much prefer truss over the BHN tomatoes, so I don't know. We'll see how the Toreros do. Anyway, they're looking sort of kind of okay. I had a few issues that may have been caused by cool nighttime temperatures in the greenhouse, and then warming up. That temperature volatility can do some damage to stems and fruit. We were seeing some hollowing in both of those. So the one
that's a bummer.
Smart guy we talked to thought that was possibly the issue. So we'll watch. And so because of that, and because of the cooler temperatures, we actually started our stoves and propane heaters, and so we're trying to keep them nighttime temperatures nice and toasty, and
or at least warm.
Yeah.
Very
So
good.
that's pretty much a rundown of where we're at.
So looking forward to the next couple of weeks. A lot of just maintaining.
Yeah, we'll keep the greenhouses just kind of maintaining. We one thing I should mention, we changed plastic on the big greenhouse. It was long overdue. Plastic was really starting to degrade. I think it's been 6-7 years probably, which is pushing it on greenhouse plastic. There's 2 layers in there, and then
pump the middle
full of air with inflation fans, and that creates some insulation bubbles. So I think this plastic is definitely not as discolored as the other, so I'm curious to see if that helps a little bit with some extra light transmission and so forth. Also working on the plastic panels on the side. We changed out one side of those. That should allow a little bit more light to come into. So plus it looks nicer. So we'll see how that goes. And we have plastic ordered for our middle greenhouse,
which is also overdue.
It's very much overdue. It's there are enough holes in it that we're not getting that good air bubble, and so I really think it would help us if we get it changed. But we have growing crop in there too, so
we need
the thing with that is you have to get a
still warm day,
and it's nicest to have, a nighttime temperature that would be probably 45 or something, where if something happened and your plastic didn't work out right, your tomatoes wouldn't all get frozen
that'd be kind of a bummer.
It would be
a major bummer,
which is what happened 10, 12 years ago whenever you lost
in March.
Lost a cover.
That was 2007.
And the tomatoes, basically with the wind, they were not able to
sustain life
in the night. Well, they weren't able to get a new sheet pulled on.
Yeah.
So
very good. Well, anything else we should talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think that's adequate. Basically, we're moving into winter, so we're switching to, I guess greenhouse mode. But then you also, we were talking about the other day, strawberry season's right around the corner. We'll be looking at maybe getting some new row covers. If it actually does get cold, we'll want to do some covering for cold protection, not just for growth enhancement.
There's a fair bit of cropland work to do, I guess, too.
Yeah, we like to put some soil amendments on the soybean land and the corn maze land, and also get a cover on everything. So we'll put weed on, and we actually used last year we spun it on with our fertilizers, and that worked pretty well. So we'll probably try that again this year.
Sounds good.
It saves time if you can apply your fertilizer and your cover crop
seed.
Yeah,
makes sense.
We'll be probably working the corn maze land to try to get that field leveled back out. Most of our farming we do no-till, but
it's been a couple of years since we've done anything in there, hasn't it?
Last year.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't think we did.
It was rough still this year, but somehow we need to try to smooth it out better.
I thought we had skipped a year.
It's got a lot of corn stubble in it. I don't think we did the deep work in it this year, and maybe we only worked a section of it, but it's got some corn stubble, so to get a good cover crop we're going to need to work with that.
Sure. Yeah.
And let's see what else. Well, just I was going to say row covers. I saw a newsletter with an advertisement, and they said that row covers may be in short supply due to face masks.
Oh, hadn't thought of that.
So you should order ahead of time, etc.
Yeah, very good.
So we'll try to do that. Hi, how are you?
Our nephew just showed up in
always nice to have a studio visitor.
Yeah. All right, well,
winter's a good time to do maintenance stuff and all the other stuff that you can never get around to. So
I think Dad even said something about some shop work maybe at some point.
Hopefully. We've got some.
Who knows?
If you can, the farming pros that do farming well, if you can organize yourself in the winter and keep, instead of just sitting in the house drinking coffee all the time and doing podcasts, if you can actually get some
or book
stuff
work
done, get things done that you never get around to, helps your whole farm run more smoothly. And you got to plan for next year, pumpkin seeds, all those things. And winter is often the time for meetings, though some of those have been canceled due to the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I better get to work. You better get to work. If you've listened this far, thank you for listening. As always, you can find more about Yoders Farm over at yodersfarm.com. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks at some point with another podcast episode.
Couple months, couple weeks. And we are, as a farm, I guess we should say, we are very thankful. It's been a very good season.
Yeah.
2020 has been really tough for a lot of people, and we're
very fortunate for how
very fortunate
things have happened.
Well, I think it's just illustrated people just like simple things, sometimes local things, the importance of agriculture. I think it has illustrated that.
I agree.
Local food, and we have benefited from that. So we are grateful for that, and we hope that we can kind of sustain this momentum moving forward too. So once we get back to more normal times.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that your shirt's inside out.
It isn't actually. It looks like it is.
Are
Though.
you
It probably
sure?
is.
Gotta be inside out.
I think this is the one that I always am not sure which way it goes anyway. And then when you're still half asleep, it's even harder to make the call. All right.
See ya.
See ya.